if the choice is between disappointing somebody else and disappointing yourself, and you choose to disappoint yourself, why does that other person's opinion matter so much more than yours? Hey creatives, welcome back. As we approach the new year, a lot of people are going to be thinking about like what word or phrase or concept or theme they want to bring into 2026. However, I think it would be interesting to choose a word that you're not going to use in 2026. And I'm going to make the case in this episode of the podcast for that word to be failure. I don't want us to talk about failure next year or forever. And I'll tell you why. And it is basically because we're too desensitized to the concept of failure. And we think that a mistake or not doing something 100% perfectly or any number of things are categorized as failures and are like bad. They make us bad. They make us worse people because we didn't succeed. We look at failure as the opposite of success as opposed to like a learning process. And so just to really make it very comprehensive, I'm going to say like, let's not consider anything a personal failure, like unless you did something like morally and ethically heinous. Okay. Donald Trump is a failure as a human being, but a personal failure being like, well, I failed at this, and that makes me feel bad. I don't want our therapists to hear the word failure out of our mouths in 2026. And I'll tell you why this is coming up. So my sibling recently started a business to do like educational consulting. They are a literacy coach and a teaching coach. And so they coach teachers to teach better, which then improves classroom outcomes. It's better for the students. It's better for the teachers. It's better for the entire school system. Making better teachers is a good move. And so my sister has built this career and it has been doing it beautifully. Like, yeah, no, I'm going to tell you the whole fucking journey. So my sibling graduated from college, went and spent 3 months teaching English in Nicaragua and loved it. Like they fell in love with teaching in Nicaragua, doing this, like, I think they had taken an alternative spring break there or something, and then went back for like the 3-month summer program that they did. This place was called Outreach 360. I think they're still operating. I don't know if their volunteering program is the same, but anyway, my sibling goes there and is teaching Nicaraguan children, maybe even adults, I'm not sure, teaching English, and finds, I love literacy. I love education. That is not what their degree is in. Their degree is in history. And so they're like, well, I'm going to be a teacher now. So they look into ways to become a teacher. And they found a program in Washington, D.C. that would basically, it was like another summer program or something, like a several month thing that would basically like teach them how to be a teacher. I think it was a teacher education program was like something in the title. And they boasted a 100% placement rate for their graduates. We'll come back to that later. And so they go and they're learning all this stuff. And they had actually done a teacher education program in high school. So they went to our local career center, which also had a teaching program. So like they had thought about teaching before, but then it wasn't until Nicaragua that it really like clicked and like literacy became their special interest. So they moved to DC with nothing. Like they're renting one of 8 rooms in a house and like they live in a basement and it's rough going for a while. And then they did like student teaching placements and they were getting like all this different experience, and some of the experience was terrible and some of the experience was positive. And that's just teaching. That's just job having in America. But they get toward the end and they didn't have a job lined up. And so the program failed them. The program was like, oh, well, you know, you passed all your tests and stuff, but then you get a subjective score. And we didn't feel that you passed on the subjective score, which is how they are able to claim a 100% placement rate of their graduates into school jobs. Because if you don't have a job, they don't let you graduate. So fun fact, always check the fine print. Anyway, not to be deterred, they continue waiting tables while they work on finding a school. And they eventually do. They've worked at like 4 or 5 different schools in the DC area and like have taught a variety of ages, a variety of types of students. There's like students who have like traumatic backgrounds. There's adult students getting their GED, lots of different experiences. And then most recently, their full-time role was as an educational coach. So this is where they like really got the bread and butter of their teaching career and the literacy coaching part of it. But their mental health has always been a little uppy downy, especially in education, because education demands so much of teachers. The education system is underfunded on purpose by the government. The government doesn't want to pay for good education. The government wants to defund education so that people don't have the critical thinking skills that it would take to overthrow fascism, unfortunately. So there's a lot of asking people to go above and beyond. There is a lot of like, you're in until you're not kind of politics. And my sibling eventually took some leave for mental health, like took a benefit that is offered and got a doctor's note and took leave. And then they realized while they're on leave, oh, I'm so burned out. I'm so burned out. And I have been giving so much of myself to this job and like to the students, right? Like that's the thing about education is they can overwork you because when you get into teaching for the kids, it's hard to deny the kids extra work. You know, it's hard to deny the kids a classroom that maybe you have outfitted with supplies and decorations out of your own pocket. It's hard to deny the children. And that was like a big part of the guilt and the shame of like needing to take this leave of being like, but who's going to take care of the children, right? And also they're getting pulled into sub because like there's not enough teachers here. Teachers are getting fired. Like it's a mess. And after they took leave, they got laid off, which, you know, maybe it's retaliation. Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe it's a moot point because who cares? So then they went into like a pretty intense job hunt. We were working on their resume, like fine-tuning it. It's beautiful. I have a background and like I'm currently a career coach. So like I love a resume project. So we're working on the resume. We're working on the cover letters. We're working on these applications. They put together this huge portfolio and I'm looking at it and I'm like, holy crap. Like, you know the thing when like your baby sibling who is 10 years old in your mind still, maybe a teenager, maybe some, but definitely not a 30-something-year-old with a thriving career and a portfolio. Like, they're more qualified to lead the Department of Education than Linda McMahon or whoever the fuck is leading the Department of Education right now, because they actually know something about education, which is a beautiful gift to have in education. Let me just let you know that. And so they're applying to all these jobs and, you know, they get to the interview stage and then this economy is rough. The job market is rough. So they kept getting no's and they got really disheartened over and over again. And then finally they say to me, I think I could do this like as a consultant, as a freelancer. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad you finally got here because of course, please let me help you. I have been wanting my sibling to start a business forever, but I didn't want to overwhelm them because I knew that they were like at capacity with a full-time job. So then we spend like months working on their branding, their website, their copywriting, what their packages look like, what their pricing is. Helping them with their pricing actually helped me raise the rates on my writing incubator because I realized I would not let my sibling price a program this way because I was severely undercharging and not paying myself a living wage with the work that I was providing to people and the work that I was putting out into the world. So I learned a little bit about myself and about the fact that it's like, well, if I wouldn't let Jess do this, I shouldn't let me do this. And that was very powerful for me. So we work out all this stuff. And then they get a lead on a job, a full-time job, at an old school where they used to work. And they interview, they get hired. Now they have started this full-time job, which means healthcare, right? Means so now they can afford to pay rent because their spouse also lost his job in February of this year. And so his employment had like just run out. I think you get it for like 6 months. And Jess still had some unemployment. So like the bills were paid, like maybe a little help from family here and there. And then like this job now means that they're not struggling. They are just living in DC on one salary struggling, which is better, I guess. It's fine. And so they've been at this job now for a couple weeks and texted me the other day and said, like, should I just like close down the business? Because like I've already failed at it. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean? And they're like, well, like, you know, I did all that stuff, but then I never really launched it. And so like, should I just shelve it? Like, should I just, and I'm beside myself, exploding into a fine mist because like, what do you mean you failed already? What do you mean? Should you just put it away? What do you mean? And this is why I'm personally banning the word failure for 2026. Thanks for coming on this whole journey with me. But I'm going to give you, everyone listening, the pep talk. And it's going to be pointed, right? Because it's for my sibling who I know watches my show on YouTube. So peep this eye contact, Jess. You had to pause this thing that you were working on in order to do something else that you needed to handle. Okay? You got a job. That's a great thing. It is a great thing to grow and build a business while you have a job and income, because it is so much easier to sell when it is not like your life on the line every single time you do a consult, every single time you pitch a package to somebody. The fact that now you can grow your business slowly at a pace that makes sense, sustainably, because now you have better work boundaries. And so you're not going to be bringing so much work home with you that you don't have capacity to work on things that bring you your own passion anymore. That's not happening. Now you have space for passion project. Now you can pick this back up and decide and look at it from a different angle and approach it like, okay, so before the plan was this, and now the plan needs to pivot. This isn't failure. It's, oh my God. Like if you're sewing a garment and you fuck up the seam and then you burn the garment, get a seam ripper, undo the parts that don't work and do it again. 'Cause we're learning. What is this world, this society that is like, well, if you didn't nail it on the first try, you may as well pack up. Fuck you. Everything you love is useless and dumb. I'm tired of it. We're not doing it. We're not doing failure in 2026. I don't want to hear the word. I don't want to hear the word. So if we're not failing, what are we doing? We're learning. We are being compassionate to ourselves. We are reframing our negative beliefs. So if a client came to me and said, well, I've already failed at this business, I would say, okay, what specifically is like the thought behind that? Because that's a very emotionally charged statement. And so what I think the neutral underlying circumstance of this thought would be is something like, I didn't launch my business in the timeline I thought I would. That's the situation we're dealing with. Not painful, agonizing failure, but I did not do this thing in the time allotted. And this is why, everybody, Caitlin constantly harps on goals being adjustable. I don't teach SMART goals, I teach real goals. They should be realistic, energizing, adjustable, and learning focused. Because I don't do failure. We're not doing failure here. There is no fail. There is only you learn from it or you adjust the goal. Maybe you learn, I don't actually want to have a business. In which case, please shut it down. If you're like, no, I tried it and I genuinely just got no enjoyment from it, please, by all means, shelve it. Shelve your idea. And then if the underlying thought is just, well, I didn't do it in the time I said I would, so I assume that means I can't do it. This is now a thought that we can work on, because that's not necessarily true. That's just a story that your brain made up and told you. Your brain just made up this story and told you, well, if you didn't do it in the time allotted, right? If you gave yourself 2 months to learn how to play the guitar and you didn't learn how to play the guitar, so burn it. That's a problem with your brain. And we can work on that. We can judge a thought like that. So I like to use the thought model, which is a life coaching tool, I guess, made up or popularized by Brooke Castillo, who is like one of like the big giant like millionaire life coaches. I'm a little scrappy weirdo life coach who like lives under a bridge. So like we're very different styles of life coach, but still this is a really great tool. And it lays out, the acronym is CTFAR: circumstance, thought, feeling, action, result. And sometimes people will add like meaning to it. Like, what are you making this mean? So if we take our circumstance of, I did not launch my business in a 2-month time frame. That's the circumstance. We take all of the emotion out, all of the charged up, guilty, shamey feelings. The circumstance is, I did not meet my goal in this time frame. And then the thought is, I failed, or I am a failure, or I don't deserve to have a business, or this is why I can't have nice things. Whatever it is. A thought is associated with an emotion. So a lot of those would come with shame, just a heaping pile of shame, guilt. You know, if you've got like a traumatic history of people being like, you never finish anything you start. And that also might be one of the thoughts. I never finish anything I start. Is that true? Have you ever in your life finished something that you started, such as your high school diploma, your college degree, your fucking teaching education program that kicked you out at the end because they're assholes? Like, you finish those things. And to you watching this video or listening to this podcast who is not my sibling, what have you finished? Because there's a lot of y'all that come to me with this thought in your brain that is, I don't finish what I start. I see it all the time in working title. People being like, well, yeah, like I have an idea for a book, but I can't follow through. I don't have the follow through for it because I never finish what I start. Like, if you can sit on the toilet and finish pooping, you have finished something that you started. I need us to quit being so like weight of the world in our judgments of ourselves, because that's not helping anybody. It's not helping anybody except the people who profit off your suffering. And we're not making life easy for them. So knock it off. Identify your thought. Identify the feeling associated with the thought. And then ask yourself, does this thought and feeling combination make me want to take an action? Because those thoughts and feelings together right now probably make your action shut down your business idea, or go cry in the corner, or eat your hair. Not a great action. And then the result of that action is that you don't grow your business, which incidentally kind of proves that thought right. The thought of, well, I'm a failure. This is a failed business. I did not succeed here. Well, you're not succeeding because you're not fucking doing it. Okay? Tough loving it today. And remember, tough love does not mean that like somebody says something mean and then is like, well, it's tough love, so I can get away with being a mean asshole. Tough love is hard to receive. Tough love is somebody telling you something to your face that you need to hear because you're being mean to yourself, but you don't want to face that. So I'm terribly sorry to make you face it, but we're facing it. Quit calling yourself a failure. Quit judging yourself this hard for like not following through on something that has taken up a couple months of your entire human life and has the capacity to take up years of your human life. Your work is not done. Your impact on the world has barely begun. So don't put it away before people even have a chance to know it and see it and experience it. For the love of God, please. Please do not shut yourself up and make yourself small and put your big world-changing ideas on a shelf just because you did not meet an arbitrary deadline. I need every single person hearing me to hear that again. Let's rewind it and just play it again. Please do not shut yourself up and make yourself small and put your big world-changing ideas on a shelf just because you did not meet an arbitrary deadline. Beautiful. I'm going to assume that my producer made that happen for us. So what do we do with this thought model right now that we have established the circumstance, the thought, feeling, action, result, the meaning that we make of it, which is I'm a big fat stinky failure. Don't make a reel out of that one because people will be like, yeah, you are fat. Because pointing out that I'm fat is like the sickest burn they can come up with, as if I woke up this way today and like I didn't know. Get better material. Oh my God. Okay. So now we do what is called a reframe. And the cool thing about reframing the thought model is that you can start anywhere. You can start on any of the lines except the circumstance. Like you can't change the circumstance, but you could choose a different thought. You could choose a different action that you want to take. You could choose a different result that you want to end up with. And then you reverse engineer the rest of it. So in this instance, let's say the result that you want is that you grow your business and you book 5 clients in 2026. We can now make this a very teeny tiny goal because it doesn't have to pay your rent. It just has to grow. It just has to be attainable and exciting and possible. You have to believe that it's possible. That's a huge part of this. Because when you say, oh, well, I went 2 months and I didn't achieve ABC, and this means now that my dream is impossible. Baby, what the fuck is you doing? Who said? Who made you think like that? Who made you believe that if you don't do something exactly right, you don't stick the landing on the exact first try, that you stop? Because like athletes don't learn that. Olympic athletes fuck up. Simone Biles pulled out of a thing because she was having like a bad mental health day. And everybody was like, oh, how dare she? She's representing our country. She has to go out and do gymnastics. It's like, no, she has to protect herself. What are you trying to protect yourself from? You're not even on an Olympic stage. You're not even tumbling with thousands of people watching you. It's just you in a little corner making this thing and then finding a reason not to put it out in the world. And I need us to stop this, please. So, okay, result that we want is I want to make X dollars, or I want to book Y number of clients, or something else. Fill it in. I don't give a shit. I'm not your boss. What result do you want? What action would create that result? So the action would probably be make a marketing plan, follow through with my marketing plan, talk to all the people I know who have been interested in my services and ask them if they want to book. Maybe you could even change your pricing. Maybe you could do something lower lift and lower cost to get started and prove your concept. Like there's so many different actions you can take that lead to the result of, in 2026, I started a fucking business and I figured it out. Love that for you. Gorgeous. Boom. Do it. Not quite that simple. So what thought and feeling are going to work together to help you take that action? Because if you're sitting there like, I'm a failure, I feel shame, I'm a big, shamey failure, you're not going to take that action. That is not an action-taking thought. We need a better one. So what thought and feeling would feel good? How do you want to feel when you take this action? You probably want to feel proud. You want to feel excited. You want to feel empowered. And so what thought is going to help you feel empowered to take this action? Maybe you think, I help teachers teach better. By helping teachers, I help children. My work is important in the world. I am allowed to take up space, whatever it is. Practice a new thought. Meditate on it. Write it on your bathroom mirror. Say it as an affirmation 20 times a day. I don't care. Hire me. I will say it to your face and make you believe it. And then once you're practicing this thought, this feeling, you got to catch yourself when you slide back into, I'm a big stinky failure. Nope. Grab that. Catch that fly right out of the air, because that fly doesn't go here. Okay. You can choose what thoughts that you let ruminate. And when you let failure ruminate, you're going to have a bad time. Everyone watching this, not just Jess anymore. Everybody who is here. What does failure get you? What does closing down shop early get you? It does get you some benefits. It means you don't have to do that hard thing anymore. It means you don't have to take up space in a way that impacts your relationships and makes holding your boundaries harder and makes you see who your friends really are. Like, honestly, starting a business, marketing yourself, talking about yourself, and like feeling really empowered in your actions and in the thing that you're selling, it can cause breakdowns in friendships. Like, I had a few people be like, you're sort of like self-centered. You have a rabid, what the hell was it? What was the phrase? A cult of personality. And I'm like, I work with like 20 clients a year, and I don't think it's a cult. But if it was a cult, I would be a great cult leader. Thank you. So like some people are just not going to like it when you grow, when you expand, when you reach outside your comfort zone and establish a new comfort zone. People will get left behind, and that's deeply uncomfortable for all of us. And so what you get by just saying, well, I'm a failure, I can't do that, is that you get to stay in this comfort zone and you don't have to risk any of those relationships. And that's okay. That's allowed. It is not morally righteous to expand your comfort zone. Like, personal growth is great. I love that for you if that's what you want. I think that most people should want it. I think that when we learn critical thinking skills and we learn sort of like self-improvement, we learn how to communicate and like be in relationship with other people. All of those skills are very good. They make you a better, like a more employable person. You have better communication skills, better relationship building skills. Like you can start a business. You can write a book, you can do all kinds of things, but you have to be willing to take up space and disappoint other people. If the choice is between disappointing somebody else and disappointing yourself, and you choose to disappoint yourself, why does that other person's opinion matter so much more than yours? Why? Okay, I'm going to wrap us up because I have been aggressively big sistering you for a solid half an hour. And I apologize to Jess for personally calling you out, but I love you. And you saying that you failed affected me so deeply that I had to tell all 400 of my subscribers on YouTube about it, because we're not doing this. We're not doing it. There's no more failure. No more personal failures. Only huge systemic failures. Don't compare yourself to huge systemic failures. Just don't. You're a person doing person things. And as long as you are a person doing person things, it's not failure, it's learning. Okay. This has been a podcast. I love you, all of you. especially Jess, if you're watching or listening or whatever, put this one on repeat. Listen to me hand you your ass as many times as you need to. And also in the comments, please let me know if you like this style of thing where I just come in and I'm like, listen up. Here's what we're not going to fucking do anymore. Because honestly, I love this and I'm like thriving right now. So I love you and I'll see you next week. Next week is Christmas already. What the fuck? But yeah, love you guys. Bye.
They'll change your approach and tell you a joke to lighten your load and help you along or sing you a song. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do.